Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Data Dispatch. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. We're going to be talking about how maybe the wholesale and pullback of PLTR after the earnings report might be coming to an end and possibly a retesting of the mid-20s, especially if we get over this certain price target that we're going to be talking about in just a second here, could possibly be a retesting of the mid-20s, even the 30s here in the near future if we continue to see a kind of acceleration and buying momentum given many different market variables that need to fall in place. And one of those variables is inflation. And specifically, we had Fed officials come out today and make some interesting comments about inflation and interest rates after we had the cooling inflation report that was released yesterday. We're going to be getting into all the details about this. And also, we're going to be talking about NVIDIA, one of the big drivers for AI stocks, because that is basically the front runner for a lot of the AI stocks, has the earnings that's going to be coming out next week, and this could have a big influence on the AI industry. So if you are a new or returning viewer, hit that like button, subscribe for daily videos, and of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm collecting all the data and dispatching it to you. Now pop it up on the screen here. Let's talk about PLTR price action. Basically, holding steady today, not doing much. Closing at 21.65, we see a slightly in the green here, up 0.4% in the after hours. Now, this is holding support, building consolidation here at the 21s. I am not disappointed in trading sideways right here. I think this is incredibly important, especially for PLTR to build upon that foundation. We've seen the trigger of critical support levels at this $20. I would call this a crucial level of support, and where PLTR I think needs to try to get above is reclaiming the support level here at basically this 2240 area. We've talked about this, and especially when PLTR was trading this head and shoulders bearish type of pattern right here, this 2240 was a really important level of support. You can see many touch points right here. If PLTR can get back above that, I think we could possibly see a test into the mid-20s. Now, quickly looking at options, we have a good amount of call volume at that $22 strike price for end of the week expirations, which, hey, that is tomorrow or today, depending on when you're watching this video. But let's talk about the general market. We got stocks that are pulling back from record highs after the Dow Jones touches 40,000 for the first time. So we had the major indexes at basically all-time highs, and what we do have is 3 Fed officials coming out here talking about that, hey, they warned for higher for longer interest rates while speaking at separate events. No, this really stinks because yesterday we had the inflation report that finally showed signs of cooling. And what the market was doing is taking basically about a 70% probability that we're going to have that first interest rate cut come September. But now with Fed officials coming out here saying, hey, and we've seen this before, the Fed coming out basically saying, hey, put the brakes on. We want to see a more incremental level of reports showing that inflation is cooling. Now, they're not just going to jump on the gun. It's kind of what the Fed is coming out here with an opinion. So the market is kind of putting its brakes on and saying, hey, are we getting too far ahead of itself? That's really what's happening right now. But talking about PLTR, and the fears have likely peaked. Time to turn bullish. I kind of agree with this general opinion here from the Seeking Alpha article. If you guys don't know, I am an affiliate with them. Check out the link below. You can get all the data that I get, really critical data on stocks for 20% off. Now, talking about this right here, PLTR fell into this bear market decline. Back in March, at the March highs, we have PLTR that's actually about 30% down from those March 2024 highs. So where we are, this post-earnings sell-off in PLTR is likely kind of stunned. And one of the big things I think that is starting to change the momentum in PLTR after this earnings report is the robust boot camp sales cycle. AIP boot camps are still continuing to grow, be successful. We've seen this. And remember, Palantir actually had a great quarter earning and smashed a lot of, different types of things. We see commercial revenue, commercial customer account continuing to grow year over year. Things are looking healthy. Balance sheet is looking healthy. The only thing that I think caused an over justification for the sell-off that we saw with PLTR was, of course, the slight change in their future guidance and not surpassing Wall Street's previous estimates. However, I think Wall Street kept putting PLTR at this higher and higher and higher and higher bar, and eventually PLTR is just going to say, hey, we aren't able to keep up with that. And that's exactly what happened. And they slightly changed their guidance, and we saw PLTR come down about 30%, like I said, from those March 2024 highs. So talking about where PLTR is sitting at right now, a buy or sell or a hold, one thing that's important to acknowledge that brings a lot of risk into this whole equation is, of course, its valuation. PLTR right now trades at a multiple of nearly 48x compared to its SaaS peers at about a median of 20x, and it has a forward adjusted PIG ratio of about 2.7, almost 40% higher than its tech peers. So long story short, it's expensive, and that's because a lot of people are betting the PLTR is going to still accumulate in its actual market value. Market cap is going to grow and have great earnings reports. However, in the consolidation zone that it has sitting at right now above the 20 bucks, this is a 30% dip, like I recently mentioned. And with that, I would agree that this PLTR kind of bear market decline really does seem to be bottoming out at a pivotal moment, especially here as the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ are continuing to hit into these all-time highs. Now, we also have here Amit, another PLTR content creator, post here talking about Stanley Druckenmiller, disclosed a new position recently of PLTR, accumulating 770,000 shares at an average price of $21.30. I guess he was one of the first investors and sold at $8 and got into NVIDIA, now coming back into PLTR. So interesting to see here, like you said, you have fears that might be bottoming him out. You're starting to see big, large, and institutional investors coming back in, especially here at this price at $21.30, and talking about how we still continue to see boot camps that are continuing to drive strong U.S. sales. And with that, conversions into these acceleration, monetization types of software really does lead to significant growth in the customer count. And we've seen this on the commercial side of things in terms of revenue, customer count, getting these conversion rates to increase. We have seen this being reported in the last 2 quarter earnings. And this is why I've really been staying bullish on PLTR, especially at the market cap that they are sitting at right now, regardless of their valuation, which of course is expensive. I think they're going to continue to grow into their valuation over time, especially as we do see consolidation with PLTR. And a little bit of a 30% dip here might have not necessarily been the worst thing for the stock, considering, like I said, and what that Seeking Alpha article kind of acknowledged, is that we have the market right now at all-time highs. Just talking about the Dow Jones in the beginning of the video, touching 40,000 for the first time. PLTR cooling off a little bit here does help its valuation, even though it still does trade at a premium. Hope that kind of makes sense. Talking about also going into earnings, NVIDIA, I think, is going to have a large influence on the AI industry. Right now, Morningstar gives it a fair value estimate of about 910 bucks. It's pretty dang high for a fair value estimate. Coming in here, what to watch for in NVIDIA Q1 earnings? That is going to be talking about beating, of course, its quarterly guidance and looking at its data center business. But also, one of the big things talking about that is any constraints that NVIDIA has that prevents it from continuing to kind of go into this exponential growth phase. In talking about its long-term valuations and talking about the pace that the data center capital venture, and basically, can they have these constraints? We've seen some constraints in NVIDIA that will not limit its business growth. I think those supply constraints are going to be one of the most significant variables that can have a big impact on NVIDIA stock here within the next decade, and especially affecting its AI chip business. Talking about that, it'll be interesting to see what kind of commentary that we do have. I think that's going to be a big catalyst. Other than that, that's all that I have for you guys. Talking about this, what do you guys think is going to be happening with PLTR? Do you think we're starting to see the cool off of this bearish type of potential and we could be testing this mid-20s? Do you agree with that opinion, or do you think I am crazy? Peace out. Take care. I'll catch you guys later. Catch you guys in tomorrow's video.